Ladies and gentlemen, this is the big one. We have a ton to talk about today regarding the closure of Dragon Ball The Breakers and Geekshin Squadra getting their release date kind of leaked, but not exactly, as well as some cool new reveals. But before we get into all of this information I'm going to be breaking down today, we have a absolute bombshell of an announcement. So this post is coming from Vinixis, who translated it from the Koso Koso Hoso podcast, and it is major. This absolutely changes everything we thought we knew about launch. So Mami Koyama, who I guess maybe that's pronounced Mammy. I'm going to say Mammy just because Mommy is just a little too weird, at least in the way it's pronounced in English, recalls that needing to leave for a year abroad, she called Toriyama directly to inform him that she would no longer be able to voice Launch. She asked him, if possible, to stop including the character in the manga. After that, the character Launch disappeared from the story. Of course, Launch is the Japanese name, aka the original name of Launch, but being a dub fan, I have to say Launch, just like I have to say Krillin and I have to say Tien, but still yet though, let's pay respects to the original creator's intent. Launch is the original name, and apparently Koyama left for a year and called Toriyama, and Toriyama basically worked with her to write Launch out of the story. But you're probably saying, wait, Toon how does that make sense? Didn't Toriyama say he forgot Launch? That's kind of true, but not exactly. So we're going to go and reference kanzenshu.com for this, where they had a rumor guide and they basically broke it down. Akira Toriyama forgot Launch. Rumor status false, but he thinks he did. So this is blowing up that rumor even further. That's why I'm not lying on the thumbnail when I say this is a massive rumor debunking. This changes everything because Toriyama thinks he forgot Launch, right? The big rumor is that he forgot Launch, right? Even this is giving its own explanation, but now we know more information behind the scenes about what led Toriyama to make this decision that was not on accident like he thinks it was. Again, we'll get into that. So I'm just going to go ahead and summarize the article. We're not going to go word by word because this video would get a little too long and we have a ton of other stuff to go over today for this weekly news update. But this is major. So Toriyama, during the Saiyan saga, originally wrote the explanation for Launch disappearing as 5 years ago she went off somewhere chasing after Tien Shinhan. That was from Krillin, right? So Krillin says that to Bulma because Bulma's wondering where Launch is. Then, in the end of the series, during the Buu saga, Toriyama was originally going to make this Android 17 appearance be Launch instead, but changed it to Android 17, which I do personally appreciate. But in the anime, Launch is there, offering her energy up, which is a cool thing that the anime did. I actually really appreciate that. So, for Weekly Shonen Jump 1991, the third and fourth double issue, Toriyama contributed a short quasi-Christmas-themed comic featuring various characters and what each of them is up to during the Battle of Namek, which was later republished in the 7th Daizenshu. So I guess you could say this is quasi-canon, not exactly. I guess you would say it is canon because this is literally from Toriyama. But again, does Christmas exist in the Dragon Ball universe? Anyway, that's a tangent. So Launch is here talking about, dang, where did that jerk Tien Shinhan run off to? So this is consistent with what he said earlier about Bulma wanting to know where he was, and then Krillin says that she went off after Tien. However, the question was asked to him in Viz Shonen Jump's print magazine in 2003. I noticed that Launch disappeared after Raditz came. What was she doing? Toriyama says, to tell you the truth, I totally forgot about her at one point, and then I remembered after a while, and I had to think of a reason why she disappeared, so I made it seem as if she was running after Tien Shinhan. This doesn't line up with the timeline, as Kanzenshu says. While the underlying information is accurate, Toriyama's sense of time is equally fuzzy here. Launch's absence is very naturally explained the coming weeks after her last appearance. There's really no time for Toriyama to have forgotten about her. While Toriyama may have indeed forgotten about Launch at some point later in time, the way he reconciles her absence in this 2003 interview is just not accurate to the original serialization and its time frame. It may be that Toriyama is referring to the 1990 Christmas comic and its explanation for Launch's disappearance, but again, her departure had already been explained by the manga at that point. So, what that is saying is that Toriyama, in that interview, was saying that he forgot Launch, or he thought he forgot Launch, and included her here to explain why she wasn't in the series. But he had already explained it here. So the reason why this interview basically makes everything a lot more clear is because the reason why he forgot about Launch originally, he thinks he forgot about her, isn't because he forgot about her. He did this piece because he thought he forgot about her. But originally, this piece with Krillin saying she went off chasing after Ten Shinhan was because of the actor. Again, just basing it off the timeline and everything. So she says that she needed to leave for a year abroad. She called Toriyama to inform him that she would no longer be able to voice Launch. She asked him to stop including the character in the manga. It's at this point that Launch is no longer around, and it's explained because she went after Ten Shinhan. Which is weird that Toriyama forgot this, I guess, and then explained it away accidentally the same way that she went chasing after Tien. But, you know, she did have a crush on Tien in the original Dragon Ball, so I guess that makes sense to have the same creative impulse twice in a row. So this really just like blew the lid off of things, and we finally have like a big reveal for why Launch was written out. So yes, rumor debunked and also rumor explained, I guess you could say. So Toriyama did not forget Launch. He thought he did forget Launch, but he didn't, which is weird. Anyway, this was a big reveal, and I wanted to go over it in today's video, but that's not the last thing to go over. Dragon Ball The Breakers looks like it's ending. So the Xenoverse 2 link service with Dragon Ball The Breakers is being shut down on July 30th. It says here, thank you for continued patronage of Xenoverse 2. The following Breakers linkage features provided for PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, Switch, Xbox Series X/S, Xbox One, and Steam of versions of Xenoverse 2 will be discontinued. So this basically makes it so that you can't go to the main menu, you can't launch Breakers after that. Yeah, that's over with. So, Kanton Mod speculates they're actually starting to pull the plug now. And I understand why he would think that. And then just today, they went ahead and launched a trailer for the new season. So some people are getting a little bit excited about this, but let's keep in mind, a lot of times whenever a game is in its final phases before it closes down, it throws like the last bit of its content at the fans. Like they just go ahead and push it in the game. So we have Cell and Cell Juniors. We have we have Boo with Gohan Absorbed. Now we have Broly joining the game. So does this mean that the Breakers is closing? All signs point to yes. The player base is very small. They can't just keep supporting a game with no strong player base. It's continuing to shrink, and it's not looking good. So this is a cool mechanic, though, like being able to switch between like the two different versions of Broly, like from the original movie and then the second Dragon Ball Z Broly movie. That's cool. I mean, it looks like a fun update. It looks like it'll be nice and fun, but I mean, facts are facts. The game is not doing so hot, so it looks like they will be closing it. That's probably why they're unlinking it from Xenoverse 2, because Xenoverse 2 is inevitable. Xenoverse 2 is still going, but looks like the Breakers is on its way out. And the Fortnite collab is back on the menu, so there's a leaker in the Fortnite community, Sam Leaks, who says the Dragon Ball Fortnite collab is rumored to be in the works. This is from DBS Hype reporting on it. DBS Hype speculates that it's the Dragon Ball Daima skins that were previously rumored, so I could see that happening. Alright, let's get into Geekshin Squadra, finally. I'm very excited for this game. The App Store on the Apple Arcade, is that what it's called? They expect it for October 20th, 2025. This is the only place the release date is listed. So I don't know if you could call this a leak or what, because not even the official website has the release date. None of the trailers has the release date. This is only on the Apple version. I don't know if this is entirely accurate. I don't know if this is just something that Apple put up that they weren't supposed to. So again, I don't know if you call this a leak or not. Maybe an oversight. But yeah, DB Game News reports that this is on the Apple listing. So let's go over the character of Son Goku Mini, who was recently revealed. Always love going over these characters for Geekshin Squadra. So he is a damage dealer. A concept is a hero who skillfully keeps enemies at mid-range, rush in with a flurry of power pole attacks, and maneuver alongside Pansy and Glorio. So kind of similar to Frieza, but not exactly. Strike damage gradually increases while engaged in battle. Fighting a hero with a higher level than yours will accelerate the damage increase. Very cool reference to the fact that he's lower powered in the Dragon Ball Daima anime, and he has to learn as he goes. Rush attack. Attack while wielding the power pole. The pole's range is gradually increases during the attack. This range will reset if the attack is interrupted. Okay. Pansy Wasabi Bomb. Tons of info. Pansy throws a Wasabi Bomb at a targeted location. The Wasabi Bomb will explode after a set amount of time has passed. The farther away the set location, the longer it will be until the explosion. You can move the bomb by hitting it with a rush attack. That's cool. Enemies caught in the explosion will suffer continuous damage. The Wasabi Bomb will explode upon being hit by Power Pole and will unleash a larger explosion with increased AoE if hit by Lightning Bolt. So there you go. You can summon Glorio, hit the bomb with a Lightning Bolt, and it's a larger explosion. And then Glorio's Lightning Bolt is simple. He calls down lightning upon the nearest enemy or Wasabi Bomb in range. Enemies or bombs near the bolt will be struck by chain lightning, and the damage, what'd that say? And the damage inflicted will increase with each connected strike. And then the Power Pole Dance. Sweep through surrounding area with a Power Pole performance. The damage dealt increases the farther away enemies are. If hit during this skill, the first instance of damage will be halved. Gain energy defense up and movement speed up if hit by an energy attack, and gain strike defense up and movement speed up if hit by a strike attack. Can move while attacking. Activating a rush attack will cancel this skill. So let's look at it in action again. And looks like Goku goes for Kamehameha, and you can just basically rush through it. Cool. So Swift Spark, this is a little bit disappointing. So Mini Goku can't turn into a Super Saiyan. He just gets an attack where he temporarily goes Super Saiyan for the attack. It says transform into a Super Saiyan and dash toward a target position, unleashing a barrage of high-speed attacks. Gain immune to all from the start of the explosion, or start of the transformation until the dash forward. Following the barrage, move a set distance based on the directional input and deal additional damage with an energy explosion. The farther away your target, the more AoE and movement range after barrage increases. The more damage taken while immune to all, the more damage will be dealt by the final explosion. So, pretty simple. Long explanation, but pretty simple. Turn into a Super Saiyan, you can move, attack multiple enemies, and then you explode. Alright, so, with all that being said, is Goku Mini satisfying? I think he is, because I don't think this is going to be the only Daima Goku we get. Because it doesn't say he transforms into a Super Saiyan 4, so we could get Mini Super Saiyan 4 Goku. Or we could get just Super Saiyan 4 Daima Goku. So that's exciting. And, of course, again, maybe down the line we could get Daima Vegeta, things like that. But this is fun for what it is, especially because you get Glorio and Pansy representation. Because I wouldn't want them as their own characters, because I like Glorio and Pansy, don't get me wrong, but I think there's tons of other characters that the Dragon Ball there's tons of other characters that Geekshin Squadra should be using. So if they're using Daima, they should stick to the main characters, like Vegeta, Goku, Piccolo, things like that. And I do like Glorio and Pansy as main characters, and I think Glorio could be his own character, but using them as part of Mini Goku's moveset is fine by me. Now, let's get into the other thing with Geekshin Squadra, which is the pre-registration campaign. We've already got 500,000 people pre-registered. Guys, please pre-register for this game, because if you do, you get free stuff. So, we get Zenny, 3,000 Zenny. That's already achieved. So, if you pre-register, you get 3,000 Zenny. You get 5 G capsules. Okay, and then if you get 1 million pre-registers, we get stamps. Yay. And then if you do 2 million, you get the SG capsules, which are basically where you get the better stuff. And then 3 million pre-registers for Son Goku Mini for free. So, if you guys want Son Goku Mini for free, go ahead and check it out. So yeah, you can just go ahead and pre-register by going to this website here, the official website, and then going to the App Store, things like that. And then you'll be able to get free stuff. So, there you go, free stuff. Alright. Final story of the day, finally. DBZ Kakarot Daima DLC Part 2 teaser, Super Saiyan 3 Goku Mini, releasing early 2026. People are furious about this. And I don't blame them. I mean, it's a long time away. I mean, 2026 is not anytime soon. That's crazy long away. Like, several months. And remember, it's early 2026, so it could be, it's not going to be just January. It could be February, March, April, something like that. But I guess they wanted to get people excited. So here's your first look at Super Saiyan 3 Goku. I'm excited for the Super Saiyan 4 moments, of course. But again, DBZ Kakarot never disappoints. And it's beautiful and fun. But people are upset because you got Part 1 releasing this week, and then Part 2 releases a long time from now. So yeah, I understand why there's a lot of people disappointed by this. I try to practice patience. Being a Dragon Ball fan has taught me a lot of patience because of the big Dragon Ball Super manga delay. And don't even get me started on the Dragon Ball Super anime, dude. I mean, talk about practicing patience. That's a crazy one. So yeah, I just wanted to go ahead and go over this at the end of the video. Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, are you guys playing it? Are you guys excited for this DLC Part 2? Let me know. Anyways, guys, this video was a little bit of a longer video because mainly I had to combine news from last week because last week there wasn't enough news to really make a video on it. So I had to combine a little bit of news from last week with news from this week. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this format. I do enjoy making them mainly one time a week now because it gives me more to talk about in a single video. And where Dragon Ball Super's on a hiatus, it's a little difficult. Burnout is definitely being felt, and it's not just me. Tons of Dragon Ball content creators behind the scenes, they won't tell you this, but I've talked to not many people, but some people, and I've heard some people, and Dragon Ball fans, we are in a bit of a tough pickle. Right now in terms of content creation. But again, the games are literally carrying the Dragon Ball community. And it's kind of funny because we're kind of in like a second dark age of Dragon Ball, because if you guys are aware, when Dragon Ball GT originally ended back in the day, from the 2000s, like, basically the only content we had as Dragon Ball fans were the games. And we're kind of back in that, which is funny. I was thinking about making a video on that, about how funny that is. Like, this is the second dark age of Dragon Ball. Anyways, guys, that will be it for this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure you leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe to keep up to date with all things Dragon Ball news and commentary. And I will catch you in the next one. Peace off.